This is the Café con Podcast.
So today, there we go. Today we have Gabriel Bonilla from Miami. I've known him since Miami. We were connected in the theater scene, and then we reconnected out here in LA. Gabe is a director. He's an actor. He's been on Good Trouble. He's going to be on Matlock coming up. He directed a play called The Walls Have Ears, Las Paredes Oyen, I believe is because they had a Spanish version and an English version that was in Miami. I mean, the dude's doing everything, self-starter, dedicated, but also somebody who is just real. Like I told him throughout the episode, he has a very light feeling in terms of it being the inverse from darkness, the opposite of
very
darkness.
humble.
Yes, but very good guy, born and raised in Miami, a lot of mutual connections. I mean, what did you take before I kind of talk about what I took? What did you take from this?
Yeah, just the humility of him, him kind of portraying that he feels that he still has a lot to go, but outside looking in, he's doing the damn thing, you know. So that was cool to see someone that still sees that they can grow and keep learning in his craft. So that was pretty cool, and that he's just he's a normal guy. He's a normal guy that he's living his life beyond just what he does for work or even your passion, right? Like if you're just passionate about life, that's more than enough. So, we're all more than what we just do. Just know that. And he portrays that. He definitely portrays that.
I agree. I agree with everything you said. And I mean it, man. That guy, he is one of the most giving people. Like he'll put you on. He's the type of person where he's like, it feels good when I make it. It's better when my people make it with me, type of thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, dude, I agree. And you are more than what you are. To you too, GM. You are more than what you, or excuse me, you are more than what you do. I like that. And you're enough. You're a great guy, George Michael. I love you. I haven't told you that in a while. Likewise. All right, and so everybody, all right, we'll stop this kiss fest and we'll finish it off air. But enjoy this episode. We love you, cafecitos, cafe nerds, cafe people, mi gente de cafeína, whatever. I don't know what you're called, but we love you.
The liquid gold, baby.
It's cafe review time. Like that? You mean like that?
Boy, it sounded like chocolate rain.
Chocolate rain. A baby born will never see the day. I love that. All right. Okay. So we're reviewing our coffee that we drank today. So today I had hold on. I got to go get it. I'll be right back. Wait.
All right.
Chocolate rain.
Chocolate rain. Remember that? Chocolate rain.
Chocolate rain.
Chocolate rain.
We're back.
No, it's like this. Chocolate rain. You always had to take a breath out.
Chocolate rain. Okay, now let's do it again. It's cafe review time. So today I'm drinking something new. Ooh, is this backwards on mine?
No, you're good.
Okay,
you're good.
Venice blend from Little Lunch. So I went to this place in Venice yesterday, and I needed some coffee. I still am doing my Reverent in the morning, Reverent coffee, but I got this. I like to get it from local coffee shops around town. So this is in Venice. This is the Venice blend. Tastes
can you show
like
it again?
milk. Yes, sir, I can.
Great packaging.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take some credit on that. So.
Thank you, like you made it.
Milk chocolate, cherry cola, and nostalgia. Look at that. Tastes like nostalgia. It's true. It was really, really great. A 50-50 blend of washed Guatemala and sun-dried Brazil. So Little Lunch coffee in Venice. If you're ever down in Venice, it was really great. Scale of 1 to 10. This is my second cup for the day. I'd give it like a 7.2, 7.3. You know, I think it set me off really good. It didn't take me anywhere that I didn't want to go. It kept me coasting throughout the conversation, kept me alert, kept me going. So I'd give it a 7.2, 7.3. You know, what are you sipping on the huge over there?
I think I am. I can't find the packaging for it. I added 2 teaspoons of sugar, and a good amount of milk. So there was no bitterness today. So that was pretty cool. Even though I'm not opposed to it. I'd say 8.3.
Whoa.
8.3.
That's pretty high.
Dude, if my stomach doesn't feel like it's about to crumble, it's gonna be in the 8s. Yeah.
Wow. All right, I'll take
Yeah.
it. 8.3. I kind of want to amend mine now because I feel like I'm being a little harsh on this. I'll up it to 7.7. That's
Okay.
It gets a 7, and it smells. I wish you could smell it.
Let me see.
Well, you can't. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's nostalgic.
That's not. Enjoy.
You said it's from where? From
Little
Guatemala?
Guatemala and Brazil. Little lunch coffee.
Guys, if you have any recommendations for coffees, we should try. Let us know.
Please, yes.
I think that's a good
Yes.
that's a good little shout out.
And we should also get our guests to rate their coffee as they're drinking it.
Yeah.
We forgot to do it this time, but
it's okay.
It's all right. We're getting better. We're getting better. 1% better every day. 1%. All right. Love you. Up here. Cheers.
How we doing,
Cheers.
boys? How we doing, boys?
Cheers. We're going.
Cheers,
Salud.
boys.
Salud.
Salud. Yep.
Oh, that's
stuff.
lovely. That is
My
love.
first bit of caffeine all day.
What?
It's been a long,
That's a bold.
It's
That's a bold waiting there. That's
yeah.
bold. Well, Gabe Bonilla, thanks for joining us on Café Con Podcast. Gabe, this is
Appreciate
something.
brother.
Yeah, dog. It's been a long time coming. This has been
Thanks for having me, bro.
a long time coming, and something lately that we've been doing is we've kind of been letting you guys, the people who are coming on, intro themselves, because we know that you're a director. The walls have ears. We know you were on Good Trouble. We know we can catch you on Matlock. Actor, writer, director, producer, Cuban extraordinaire. Who is Gabriel Bonilla?
Not a writer though. I haven't written anything yet. Maybe
Well,
in the future.
I was speaking
Maybe in the
into,
future.
into existence.
Yeah, who am I, bro? I'm just your guanito from Miami out here in LA trying to make it, man. Keep it simple.
That's fucking awesome.
I think you did a fine job of highlighting the points there, but that's me in a nutshell, man. Just your Westchester guanito out here, bro. Westchester. George, where are you from?
I'm from Miramar. I grew up in Miami Lakes in Miramar.
We went to a day Christian together, bro. We
Okay.
literally, I've known George since I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. We were in the same circles because I went to King's Christian. I had a bunch of friends from Florida Christian, and then we had a bunch of
Okay.
friends from Dade that ended up going to Columbus. And the
Okay.
Miami private school world is chiquitico.
Well connected. Yep.
Yeah.
I used to party with some girls from Florida Christian, so that's funny. Small world.
Oh man, that's
Well, that's
right.
That's
I
still back.
forgot the
We'll
twins.
we'll trade names later.
Yeah, it was the twins, right? We're thinking about the
Yeah,
twins.
there we go. That's let's take it easy.
Well, there's a lot of twins in the world, so I think
That's
that
true
we can
too.
keep it
That's true
ambiguous
too.
like that. That
true
is
too.
crazy, bro.
That's true
Dude,
too.
yeah, so Gabe, I kind of laid it all out a little bit. Well, maybe not in emo, but George and I just kind of started this, bro, because, as you know, we've talked about this before, you and I, Gabe, but all my people are in Miami. So and George Michael was in, like I said, I've known him since I was 5 years old. He was in my groomsmen in my wedding. He's one of my best friends. He's my brother. And we didn't talk as much as like I wanted to. So I was like, bro, why don't we just start a podcast, put our phones down for an hour a week and just kick it, and just have like an intentional conversations. And George is a music producer. He's a DJ in Miami. So he's very involved artistically in that other avenue. And, I'm out here as an actor, trying to do my thing out here. So like just
doing your thing, killing it.
Yeah, it's the peaks and valleys, which I'm sure we'll get into. But, intrinsically, we just kind of talk about what it's like being an artist, where we were to where we are. And Gabe and I have an interesting connection too, because I met Gabe, bro. This is wild how you and I connected out here. So
Yeah.
George, do you remember when I was in the hospital, right? When I went down to Miami and I was hospitalized for like 6 days or whatever with diverticulitis?
It was like 2015, 14 maybe?
Early 2016.
2016.
Early 2016, because it was right before I moved out here. So I was supposed to do a play, and then I got hit with diverticulitis, and then I was like, I can't do the play anymore because I'm in the hospital, and I just lost 15 pounds. And they were like, all right. And so Gabe took over the role, and that's how I initially met Gabe.
Yeah, I remember you showed up to like a dress rehearsal or something with an IV still.
Yeah,
you had an IV.
Yeah, no, I had the PICC line IV. Yeah, bro.
Dedication.
Dude, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. So I showed up because I had a PICC line IV. Oh my god, that was a whole crazy talk about curveballs. But that's how I met Gabe initially, and then I remember I saw a few years later you posted something from a theater out here in LA, and I was like, "Are you in LA?" And immediately, bro, you literally called me. I think you called me. You know, that's the one thing. I talked about Gabe. I'm like, "Yo, are you out here?" Not even a text back. I just get a phone call. He's like, "Bro, what's up?" And immediately, bro, this guy, I'm gonna give you your flowers early. He is one of the most generous people when it comes to being an artist, because he put me on to so many different connections. He's the type of guy who's like, bro, I have this connection, this availability. Do you want to try that, going out for this thing? I know this guy. You should talk to this guy. I'm going to send. He is somebody who the whole idea of like, it's good to make it, but it's better when you see your boys make it. He embodies that to like
all day, man.
To the utmost. So I got to give you your flowers for being one of the most generous and kindest people in an industry, and in a time when it's like people look out for themselves very much so. So, bro, you're incredible at that, and I've always told you how grateful I am to you. But anyways, that's how we got connected, George Michael, just so you have like a sort of overview of how this spider web came into existence, so to speak. Out here.
Quick question, was that play that you were supposed to be in LA or for UCF?
No, Miami. It was in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, it was down in Kendall. It was the La Sabuesera for real. Bro.
Okay.
So, Gabe, I actually wanted to know, why did you choose to come out here instead of New York? I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
Well, it just came down to, I wanted to do New York as a city for sure. And I had never been to LA. And I was like, I was already set on like, let's do New York. But it came down to what did I want to do career-wise and where I thought there were more opportunities. And I just thought, go big or go home, I got lucky that there's some theater out here in LA, but I didn't come out here to do theater. It kind of happened, there were auditions and I got the role. And at the same time that I was just getting into LA to kind of get my feet wet out here. So that was great. But the bulk of TV and film is here, man. I mean, I hope it's still here. That's another conversation for what's going on. But, I came out here with that intention, just go big or go home. People were like, oh, what about Atlanta? What about, smaller markets? And I was like, man, they're still casting the larger roles out of LA anyway.
Yes.
So you go to Atlanta and then you're doing day player 1, day player 2, not to shit on Atlanta, because I know some people who are having a great time there, but for me it was like, go big or go home. Let's just do it. Let's just make the jump.
And you might as well, because day player 1 and day player 2 still get cast from here as well. You can't; those are available. I know you and I have both done those too. But that was my exact mentality in leaving and going to LA. Was, well, I've always been fascinated with film and TV. I love theater intrinsically, and I never want to stop doing it. But film and TV was something that spoke to me initially. I wasn't like a theater kid. And then when people were saying, well, maybe you should go to Atlanta, my whole thought process was, well, the roles that I want to be going for are getting cast out of LA. Even though I didn't have the resume at the time, it was kind of like not maybe the most logical choice, in terms of building. I was like, let me go somewhere where they're casting the big roles, even though I hadn't even gotten the small roles yet. Yeah. So that was literally my same thing.
Man, to that point, when I came out here, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but I came out here with what I thought was a decent resume, right? I already had a recurring on a show out here, just a recurring co-star, 2 episodes, but on paper it looks good.
In which
small Westworld, because I had done Westworld from Miami. That's what actually got me to be like, okay, we could do this.
I didn't know that.
I was like,
I saw that on your IMDb, and I was going to ask if that's where you guys had met, but since you guys already did the intro, I figured, okay.
Again, there's so many convergences between crazy. Gabe and I, dude. It's wild. Even Dexter that I'm on, there's so many convergences because of him from me being on there. Okay, so you got Westworld from Miami.
I get Westworld from Miami. At the time, I had already a 3-episode recurring on David Makes Man that shot in Orlando, and a small supporting in John Leguizamo's Critical Thinking on Netflix. So I come out to LA thinking like, oh, we got this. I'm gonna hit the ground running. I sent 65 cold emails out here to reps, no answers. No answers.
Not even a
65
response.
emails. No.
Wow.
No.
Bro.
The responses that I got, which were like 3 of them, were a response, and it was like, "Sorry, we don't accept unsolicited emails." And I was like, "For that, don't even reply. Thanks. Yeah, rather, you know." And yeah, that's for me, I was like, okay, so we're really playing now. We're playing with the big dogs out here. Like these, this means nothing out here. And I actually had somebody tell me that I was developmental. Still am. I mean, for sure, I'm still developmental. But I was like, it was a reality check for me when I got here. I was like, okay, we gotta figure this out. How do we pivot? How do we find the reps? How do we move forward here? Because I thought, with credits, I was good.
Yeah. Okay, I have 2 questions. Number 1, what does developmental mean? Because I've heard that term so much, and I've heard it from different people and what they think it means. What does that mean when you say that?
I can honestly, I can tell you what I think it means, and I think it's just that maybe for the rosters or the people that I was contacting, I'm still a very up and coming, beginning green per se artist in terms of a resume and where they can push you and what rooms they can get you in, based off of your credits, and which is I don't know, which sometimes doesn't make any sense because I know some people who come out here anyway and just kill it.
Yeah,
without
developmental to me means that you're not a name. That's kind of just what that means is they don't know which way to sort of angle you and which way to go. And then you mentioned, okay, so then you had to pivot in terms of getting your representation. What did you do then for getting representation? Because I think that will help a lot of people that kind of just come across this and listen to it. That's one of the big things is I've gotten feedback, and I know Georgia said the same thing, where people have been like, wow, I didn't think that's how that thing happened. So how did you pivot into getting reps?
Referrals became everything, man. So first I didn't want to be the guy to knock on doors and to ask, but then I was like, well, who's got reps that are maybe in my area that are not bottom of the barrel, but entry level. And so I got a referral from a friend, and I also contacted a manager who I worked with his client on the John Leguizamo film. And he too was like, look, I think you're still a little too developmental for me, for my roster. But he did me the favor and was like, email 1, 2, and 3, just say that I sent you. Dude, 3 emails versus 65. All 3 replied, oh, he sent you? What's up? Let's talk. 3 emails, 65, nothing. And that just name dropping, having someone to be like, yeah, give this guy a shot was everything.
It's who you know. It's a relationship game. And I just have to kind of air grievances. It's so, I guess on my end, and we can kind of all talk to this as well. But for me, I've had that period of sending out emails and having a referral, send this to someone else or whatever. And they're like, yeah, you're just not, it just ain't for me, bro. I had a meeting when I first came out here. It was with a big agency, and I won't name names, and I could talk offline about it, but I had a meeting with a big agency. They made me do a self-tape. I go in. First of all, the room is like this sterile room with no windows, just a desk in the middle. And I did this self-tape. First off, the agency, when I got there, bro, I got into the elevator. There was no buttons in the elevator. The security guard had to push a button, outside for me. So I get in there.
What a power trip.
Bro, I'm just going up, and I'm like, holy shit, I made it, dog. I am in this building. I get up, I exit the elevator, and there's beautiful glass doors overlooking all of like West Hollywood. And I just think, oh my God, I made it. So I walk through those doors. I go to the front desk, and the girl there's like, can I help you? And I go, yeah, I'm here to see so-and-so. She's like, who? And I go, so-and-so. She goes, oh, you're at the wrong office. You need to go out the hallway, walk all the way to the end, and that's the office you're going to. And I was like, okay. So I walk all the way down there. Dog, it's like literally a doctor's office. I get in there. They have like the frosted glass, the sign-in sheet. So I knock on the frosted glass. They go, yes. And I go, oh, I'm here to see this sign. And they just close the frosted glass again. Anyways, I get and I sit down, and the woman goes, the first thing she tells me when I get into her office that's sterile, she sits back, she's like, so I haven't watched your self-tape, but I just want to know what, and I'm like, immediately she says, she asked me to self-tape days ago, and the first thing she leads with is, you haven't watched what I sent you? Why did you have me do it? Where do you see yourself on TV and film? And I was like, oh, well, I like these. I was like a young kid. I didn't know. She goes,
of course.
Well, we have a literary department. We are bi-coastal, so the bigger your star grows, the more we grow. All right, thank you very much. The meeting was maybe 5 minutes after me waiting for 30, and that was all for her to say, yeah, you're not ready for me. And I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
What is so it grinds my gears when the constructive criticism sent by these people are, yeah, you're just not ready for me. Well, how am I supposed to get ready for you if you're not giving me a shot? You know what I mean? It's like,
That's the paradox, man. That's
Yeah.
the get a job, need a job, get a job thing. Like, how do you do it? You know, how do you do it?
it's so weird. How did you deal or how do you deal intrinsically, mentally with the paradox of the industry itself?
I mean, for me, it was just like once I made the decision to come out here, mind you, I've only been out here for 2 years and a half, give or take. But once I made the decision that is what I was going to do for sure, you know, because I was always on the fence about it. I got a master's degree in human resource management. I went to FIU for psychology, and I was always fighting it. And then I got my little shots here and there. But once I was like, hey, we're gonna do this. I don't think there's nothing that at this point can deter me from like, okay, then this door didn't work for me, then I'm just moving on to the next one. Me and Robbie call it respectfully. I don't give a fuck. Respectfully. I'm just respectfully. Thank you. Then on to the next one, you know?
That's how it has to be. When God closes a door, he opens a window. That's one of my favorite, saying.
And we've spoken about it, how like the entertainment industry, but specifically what you guys do, it's tough, man. Like you're literally, like your journey is to literally just find one job after another, right? A role after another role. And there's a lot of easier ways to go about life, right? With job security, with insurance, salary. But I think it's kind of what you said, right? To answer that question, is just the way you keep climbing is just you don't stop. You just have to keep going. Like we see a lot of these big time actors. There's what you guys were saying. We wish there was more stories that could tell us like the in between. Like I wish, for instance, I was thinking earlier on, Isaac, what you were saying was like that show on Netflix with the quarterbacks. They're showing like their day to day. I wish they had that for actors to show what their day to day is, and then what is like their full year, how's that go, and then their 5 years, 10 years, because like we see actors now that are huge, but really their story, like Denzel Washington, he didn't get a big time break until maybe his late 30s, right? Maybe in his 40s. So I commend you guys. It's tough to just go in and try your best, and then you get knocked down, or it's not what you think it is, or you don't get even the feedback that you think you should get. And it's like you said, man, you just got to keep moving on. I mean, it's tough. Hats off to you guys, because it's tough to be an actor. I could only imagine.
Bro, and there's so many sacrifices that that you from A to Z. I mean, from the most like minute sacrifices that like I said, man, I went to school. I got a graduate degree in HR management. I could be making some decent money at a crib in Miami, and I'm out here taking odd jobs because I need to be open. I need to have those, even with my odd jobs. When the casting office for Matlock was calling me in, I got called in the first time. I didn't think the role was right for me. They called me in a second time, and I was like, well, that's good. Then they want to see me again. They called me in a third time. The fourth time, I was on a job, like a 12-hour odd job. It was like a 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. thing. And I was scheduled to work like 3 days in a row with a company that I love, like, doing side work. But then I was like, man, with what time do I even give the script the attention that it needs, And then, so you're out here not taking jobs. And then you come home at 3 a.m. to read the script, to get it on tape at 4 a.m. to, and thank God for self-tapes, because now you can do all this stuff at home. But it's like, dude, and if it wasn't for Diane, my girlfriend, bro, I don't know, that has made it so much easier having a partner that also works in the industry that I can read. Thank God. I don't want to audition with anyone else ever again. Do you audition with Sky, Isaac?
Yes. Yeah.
I will never read with anybody else. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's like we're done, and it's like 10 p.m. and I'll come back and I'll be like, babe, I know we're done, but I just read it again, and like, I got it. She'll be like, damn it. She's in bed in her PJs, and like neither of us will ever say no to each other. It could be 3 a.m, and we've done the thing, and it's like, this is what we came here to do. But thank God for her, man. Thank God for her,
bro. That is interesting. Let's talk about that, because Sky and I, since Self Tape started, we pretty much only read with one another, and it's to the point where she knows me so well that she'll be able to tell me what I need to do to be better and vice versa, right? However, just to play the other side of the sword, there's been times when we're almost too comfortable with one another. So it's a little bit, sometimes it deters from what I need to do. Right? Like I've had the conversation with her where we both learned that I take direction very differently than the way she takes direction. You know, when I'm doing a self-tape or whatever, I'm just literally throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, because there's so many different, there's so many different ways to do it. And I'm the same way. I'm always like, I'll see my audition after I look at it and I'm like, I feel like I could have done that a little. I could have done that just a little different. And then I'll tell her that, and she goes, "Well, what are you going to do different?" That's the question that we always ask when we're like, "What's going to be different about this time?" Because I don't know about you, but when I do an audition, I do 12 takes. I usually send in one of the first 3 takes. It's usually more often than not one of the first 3 takes for me that I end up sending in. But do you guys know how to communicate? Have you figured that out when it comes to that? Are you guys very similar in the way that you do self tapes?
We're different. Diane's process is a lot quicker. My process is, and I again, bro, I thank God for her that she has the patience, because I am rarely off book. I get off book as I start going, and because for me, I walk it through and I'm like, Diane will come ready off book, and then we'll fix some things. For me, I start getting off book as I'm on. My first couple takes are not real takes; they're like rehearsals. But by then, Diane's tired of it. She's like, "Come on, man, let's get this going," And Diane has asked me the same thing. She's been like, "What are you gonna do different?" I'll be like, "One more take." She's like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do different?" Well, you're gonna do the same thing.
I don't know. I just know that something. I know that I'm right there with whatever I have to do, and there's gonna be something that's different because I can feel it.
Let me just try it one more time. Yeah.
Dude, George Michael, also super sidebar. Do you remember Isela Guednica? Remember Isela?
Yeah.
So Diane went to college with Isela. They went to New World together. That just
New World. Wow, I haven't heard of New World in a minute.
Super.
How was going to that school?
I don't know. Gabe didn't go. Diane.
No, I didn't go.
Oh, I did say Gabe went.
No, I said Diane went.
went.
Oh, sorry. It's my dyslexia, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
And funny enough, her husband, Isela. Wait, I'm thinking about the same people, right? Isela's husband, Jonathan.
Yes.
Yeah.
We connected at FIU after he graduated. Was it UF or FSU? Because he was a Theta Chi alumni. And he was like serving on our advisory board while I was still a student at FIU in Theta Chi fraternity. So we had connected as well. And then, that's just kind of how the world is. You guys end up knowing each other. She's friends with Diane. I mean, it's a small world.
Yes. What happened to you, George? Just hop back in. It said you hopped out and hopped back in. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We're still recording. How was being a frat boy at FIU? What is Theta Chi? Because at UCF, the big frats, I'm trying to remember what they were. I remember
Theta Chi had a house at UCF, and I think they got kicked off.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I remember
they had a house.
It was, oh wow, Tua. I just got to.
I did. I know. I saw that too, and I got excited. Yeah,
Tua's getting.
He's on IR.
We'll miss at least 4 games. We're gonna sign Tannehill. That's what's gonna happen. This is a whole different sidebar that we can go into. But what's up with your stuff, GM? Is your internet Yep, there he goes again. This happens too. I saw Bryce Young just got benched too. Damn, dog. How do you feel about Bryce Young? I don't think he's. I don't know. I'm not a quarterback. This is from a fan's perspective. Let's say that first and foremost. I do not play football whatsoever, but I think that he's too chiquitico to play in the NFL.
You think? I mean, I'd give the guy a shot, man. We're better off. Anyone is better at the moment than Skylar Thompson.
What? Bro.
Hey, how do we segue from here? Because I couldn't hear anything after New World.
Because you
cut out.
hopping in and out, and I was looking at my phone to see if you were texting me, and then I saw that Tua was getting placed on IR for 4 games, which makes sense. And then we were talking about Bryce Young, how Bryce Young just got benched for Andy Hornfrog Dalton.
Oh,
I don't know, dude. Bryce Young, I never even really, I didn't like him that much in college. When I saw him in college, he was just kind of like, he had a gigantic O-line that were men among boys, which is why I think he balled. Then he had Najee Harris. He had really good running backs. So Bryce Young, I don't know. That's like a dumpster fire right now. The Panthers are crazy bad. Worse than the Giants, which is hard to do. So I don't know, bro. I think he's
Weren't the Dolphins chasing? We're chasing somebody. I gotta ask.
we got Huntley. We just picked up Huntley from the Ravens.
There you go.
Who was like the backup QB for Lamar Jackson, and he's on our practice squad now. There's still a few QBs out there. I'm telling you, Tannehill, but if we get Tannehill, he's not going to learn the offense. That's the thing. It's going to take a long time to learn that offense. I don't know, bro.
You need someone that has those skill sets already to like fit into plug and play.
And everybody's getting injured. It's everybody in the league is getting injured. It's crazy.
It's the gauntlet.
Bro, I don't know if Tannehill will play behind our O-line, man. Think about that.
Yeah, that too.
Whatever. We're getting off topic. This is the plight of being a Dolphins fan. Is I always tell people, I'm like, talk to me after week 8, and I'll tell you if I'm about it or not. But I don't believe in the Dolphins until after week 8, and the off season is our Super Bowl. I'm always like, bro, we got Jordan Poyer. Well, I'm always super hype in the off season, only to be let down.
Dude, it's been 33 years of disappointment for me as a Dolphins fan. I was at Home Depot over here in the Valley, and I was picking up some stuff, and I see this guy decked out in Dolphins gear. This is the Monday after – no, this is the day after Tua's injury. He's decked out. It's a Friday. He's decked out in Dolphins gear. And I'm like, yo, what's up? I love to see people from Miami. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? You from Miami? And he looks at me and goes, I don't want to talk about it. And he walks away. And then I was like – then why is he dressed like that? Then I realized it's sports day, and all the Home Depot employees are dressed up as their sports, like as their teams. And this poor guy's getting wrecked by everybody.
My God. Dude, Tyreek, the thing is with the whole Tua thing is like he was playing bad. A couple of the INTs were not on him, right? He had 3 interceptions at that point. 2 of them were not necessarily on him. Everybody was playing bad. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody was helping him. So whatever, bro. I feel
the
bad
play calling. Yeah, I don't even. You know what?
I just feel bad for him personally. Like as a human to human, I wasn't even like devastated in the sense of like, damn, our season's over. I just felt so bad as a human seeing somebody else go through that, because you could tell that he really was trying to take a leadership role this year, and he was trying to like step up into who he's being for the team and vocal and be, Tyreek was saying that his Hawaiian accent came out when he was trying to go hard at everybody. I'm like, that's amazing. But to see him go down like that with him, bro, it's just the dude hits his head on anything. Like a quarter could get flung at his helmet, and Bodacito, bro, he's.
That's, bro, we could talk about this for hours, but
I know. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat.
Let's go Canes, baby, Canes.
Oh, this is I'm gonna say something you're gonna hate. I'm a Knowles fan, bro. I'm a Knowles fan. You don't have to.
Hey, I'm a diehard Hurricanes fan, so we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going.
I can't even talk shit because the Canes.
I feel bad. What do you guys? 0-3 right now.
0-3.
0-3.
Talk about
how did you get out of UCF being an FSU fan? Because you know what, I really like UCF's football team too, and they did some incredible stuff like a couple seasons ago, man.
Yeah, I was there for the undefeated season and for the defeated season. So we went like 16-0, and then we went 0-13 the next year.
Crazy.
I was there for both of the seasons.
But they lost their head coach, no? You guys lost the coach that year after?
Yeah, it was Scott Frost, and then Scott Frost went to Nebraska, and he shit the bed in Nebraska, and I don't know what he's doing now, but our head coach is good right now. We had like the largest comeback in school history. We won 36-35. I think we were down 7 to 28. Jeez. I think in the fourth quarter or like the end of the third, and they came back and won. So yeah, bro. Yeah, I love UCF's team too, bro. I've always been an FSU fan because my cousin, when I was a little kid, who showed me college football, that I like idolized this cousin. I kind of idolized all my cousins, but he was an FSU fan. So I was like, all right, I'll be an FSU fan, and that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, you love what you learn as a kid too.
Exactly.
My brother went to UF, so I was a UF fan until I started watching college football, and I was like, no, the Canes, that's what's up. What are we doing here?
The first game I ever saw was the Canes against Ohio State, was that the Fiesta Bowl. That was the first college football game I ever watched. So I don't know how I wasn't a Canes fan. I used to go to Canes game with Kyle, with one of our other boys, and his dad, and I was decked out in FSU gear. like when it was FSU versus UM. I used to go as a little kid, and you could see how the old guys wanted to like tell me something, but I was a little kid.
Those games get dirty, man. For fans, those games get dirty.
They get intense. That's the best rivalry. I always say I root for UM as long as they're not playing FSU. I really do, because college football is better when UM is good. Both of them. When UM and FSU is good, that's the best rivalry in college football. Better than Michigan, Ohio State, better than all of those. UM FSU is the best rivalry in college football. Period.
I agree, man.
Okay, we're getting really off topic. Gabe, how did you get into what you're doing? How did you get into all this? Tell us about baby Gabe growing up and getting into this.
Man, it was just kind of okay. So as a kid, I think I had a lot of energy, and I think my principal wanted to find an outlet for me to sort of use the energy, and so she introduced me to monologues per se, or kind of my introduction into acting. I think maybe Dade Christian also participated in FACCS. It was like the
facts.
Yeah, Christian schools. Yep. It was like the Christian schools would all do, monologue competitions and all
choir.
That.
I did that.
There you go. They would do everything. It was like if you had a choir group, I think they even did some writing, all that kind of stuff.
Extemporaneous speaking. I got third place in extemporaneous speaking, and all I did was read posters behind the judges' heads.
What is that? What is that?
So they gave me.
Were you supposed to be reading them, or you just
they had no idea that they were behind their heads, and I literally was just reading it. So extemporaneous speaking, they'd give you a topic that you'd had to cover 15 minutes before, and then you had to give a 15-minute presentation on that. It's
kind of like debate. Was this a debate thing?
No, it was like you'd get up, and so they'd get my topic. I think was something about like oil. I don't remember. And then I was literally in a classroom. And they were all sitting, in desks looking at me. And I had 15 minutes before to read the article and read everything, and then essentially give a pro or anti argument. I guess it was debate, but I wasn't going up against anybody else for that person. And on the back of and my mom was there too. And my mom still remembers the story. But I would say, a wise man once said, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And I kept on like quoting these people. Abraham Lincoln also did say at one point, and I was quoting all this stuff. My mom was looking at me. She says this story. She goes, wow, how did he know all that? And then she looked around, she looked behind the people's heads, and it was all like inspirational quotes on
how old are you?
On the wall. Like 17. I was like, anyways, that's
as a parent, I think I would be more impressed at that you were doing that right than you knowing these facts. I would be more impressed. Like that's my kid right there, taking advantage of the situation,
thinking on his feet.
Hey man, do what you got to do. Okay, so you got
third place, baby.
Monologues, yeah, baby.
Yeah,
there's
monologues.
4 people,
but monologues. I found out I was like good at it. I would compete. I think I won states a few times, and then
damn! Don't just gloss over that. You won states.
Yeah, for like different categories. I don't know if you remember how they used to do it. It was like serious monologue, humorous monologue, reading interpretation, all these different little categories. And then the principal was like, "Hey, why don't you join the school play?" And I was like, I don't know, 5th grade, and the school play was usually for middle schoolers. So for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be on stage with these big kids. I'm like in 5th grade. I'm going to do this thing. And then, when you're good at something, you just generally tend to like it and want to do better. So, I got to Columbus, and there was a very small theater program that we sort of tried to develop a little more. And then after Columbus, I thought it was it. I was like, we're done. But something always kept calling me back in, and someone calls me one day and they're like, hey, there's an audition for this community theater thing. You want to do it? It ended up being at the Roxy Theater Group. So I do it. I get involved with the Roxy. I start working at the Roxy. I start really getting a lot of training at the Roxy.
Where is
and
that?
Then
I'm not familiar with them.
Across the street from, it used to be across the street from FIU. It used to be this beautiful old movie theater, and they turned all the old theaters into either smaller theaters for stage or like dance rooms. Super cool building. And I love everybody at the Roxy. And then Ricky J moves into the Roxy. The company then Roxy houses a new theater at the time, gave them one of the theater spaces. So that's where Ricky was like, "Hey, you want to do some, you want to get paid for theater?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to get paid for theater." So at 19, I got my first paid gig with Ricky, and then it was always like the next step. In 12 Angry Men, somebody saw me after a show and was like, "Are you rep? Do you have an agent?" I was like, "No, I don't." And then that's kind of what got me my agent.
Who did you play? Angry Juror?
Juror number 5, which was the Latino juror who explains the whole knife situation about. I don't know if you remember the play at all, but he basically explains that in the way of which a knife would be held, he would go this way and not that way, and it's like this whole little a small role. And for most of the play, juror number 5 is shunned away to a corner. And I remember in rehearsal one day, Ricky and Eileen pulled me aside and they were like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they're like, "Because you seem like you don't want to be here." And I was like, No, I absolutely want to be here." And then they're like, "Well, when you're not on," and mind you, man, I may be like, I don't know, 19, maybe, I don't know, 20, I don't know. When it's, when you don't have any lines, you're still acting, right? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then I was like, shit, okay. Yeah, people are still watching me, even though I'm shunned away in this corner. And so then I made up this whole world, right? And because of that, after the show, someone comes up to me and was like, "I was watching you the whole time in that corner. And I was going through whatever you were going through in that corner. You had a whole story in that corner by yourself. And are you repped?" And that's what got me my agent. And I was like, if Ricky and Eileen hadn't pulled me aside and been like, "Hey, get your shit together." Cause at a moment I was like, it sucks. I'm not doing this thing. It's like one of my first acting gigs and I'm still trying to figure out how to get it done right.
Yeah.
And, then from there, agent to audition to the next thing, and then you guys know how I ended up here in LA. But for me, it's been a very linear thing. It's been like one thing has led to this thing that led to this thing. I can trace it all back, super linear. It's never been like some people have a huge jump that I was like, "Oh, I got here, I auditioned, and boom." But for me, it's been like a very gradual like progress. Every role has been better than the last one. The show has been better. The screen time has been better. Like everything has just been like that, like tiki, just chopping away at it,
I love the tiki tikis. That was great sound effect. That was so South Florida. Do you have any marquee, like I know that I have some landmark things. Were there any moments in your history that stand out to you that led you to be here? Like, wow, man, that's what you kind of hold on to whenever you're in a valley, so to speak.
In terms of like actually what got me here to where I'm at, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean
that connect to your why. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this answers the question, but I will say there's no greater feeling for me than to watch a show or a movie that I just fucking love, that I love, dude. And just to completely be taken away by it. And every time that I watch a really good piece of art like that, a great actor, a great scene or something, I'm constantly reminded, man. I'm constantly and actually that's what fuels me. I consume so much content because this is the space that we're working in. And every time I watch something, I'm like, I can't wait to get on that. I want to do that so bad, And it's like, man, I think about this stuff 24/7. I don't. The answer is not so easy for me because it's on my mind 24/7, dude. I think we've talked about this before, man. It's like I'm constantly like, I'll pause, I'll IMDb the actor that I've never seen and see who his reps are and figure and like see what kind of trail he went through and just like 24/7, dude. This is like, it consumes me, like what is the next move? I'm constantly being inspired by just the craft and by people around me, bro. You killing it, bro. Like that's a whole nother thing, man. When I got the news, I was like, my dog. And I was like, yes, I can't wait.
This guy. And he called me with the most cryptic, bro, this guy, I mean, it was the most cryptic. He because I was talking about doing jujitsu and he goes, "Hey, make sure your face is good. I'm going to need your face." And I'm like, he's going to need my face? What is this fucking guy talking about? He's going to need my face. He's like, just be careful with your face. So I call him and I go, "Do you know something that I don't know, dog?" He's like, "Well, you're going to be in Miami anytime soon?" And I go, "Maybe." And then I go, "How do you know I literally just found out 30 minutes ago. This guy, this is like, I'll have to talk about that after everything is released. But that whole story is a wild story. That's for offlining it. That's crazy. Well, bro, what's recently has inspired you? Like, what movie can you think about? You can talk recent and when you were young. Like, what are some early inspirations too?
Man. Okay. Early inspirations for sure. My cousin started to introduce me into like films that I would have never been introduced to, because my parents don't watch TV like that. And you know, they're old school Cuban, so they're what they consume is very different. But I remember when I saw Goodfellas for the first time, I was just like, I was completely blown away, you know, as a kid watching this film. And I was like, okay. And then I went down that trail, right, of like watching Goodfellas and Casino. And I just went down this whole thing, and I was like, okay. But I was like, where do I fit in that? You know, like where, because I'm not going to play like, you know, this Italian American kid. Where do I fit in? So I don't think it was until like later, maybe watching The Lost City. Do you remember The Lost City?
No.
Let me see if I can pull this up. Or maybe I'm fucking up the name, with Andy Garcia.
I love Andy.
Gabe, I'm not gonna lie. What you were saying earlier about like looking at a certain scene and like getting riled up about it, I was like, that put that battery in my back, because I grew up playing soccer. That was my life, and like even music, those two things have been my loves. And it's like I do the same thing. Like if I see a soccer player do a certain thing, I'll pause the game, look him up, see like what his journey was, because it's like I think that's a big thing as us as creatives. We want to see the in between, right? Like I have a mentor, and he says on social media or in the internet, we see the A and C of someone's career, like where they started and like where they are now, but we never get to see the in between. So that got me fired up. I ain't gonna lie, that shit got me fired up.
I was gonna turn the question to you in a second, GM, about that kind of stuff as well. But it was The Lost City, by the way. I just looked it up.
Yeah, The Lost City, 2005.
And Danny Pino's in it.
Vite. And at the time, I didn't know who Danny Pino was. Who now, you know, we have, you know, he's a friend now. But that was the one that like really let me know. I was like, oh, there's a place here for a Cuban kid from Miami. And also, you know, I also never wanted to just be known to be the Cuban kid from Miami, as great as that is, you know. And I think recently I'm making that move to just be the ambiguous Cuban kid. Like it doesn't have to be the personality of my characters that I play, but watching something like that, like The Lost City, and watching actors like Enrique Murciano doing Bloodline, he brought me down on set. So he's a Columbus grad, and 2007 or 8, he speaks at like a career day thing, and he was like, the Columbus community is very about, you know, extending an assisting hand, and really like there's the brotherhood and the networking is like incredible. And he was like, in passing, he was like, if you guys ever really need anything, if this is something you want to do, you know, reach out to me. And I think he gave his email to everybody or something crazy like that. And I'm holding on to this email, bro, in my wallet. I wrote it down. 3 years later, I pull out this crumbled email, and I was like, bro, I'm gonna hit this guy up. Like, what do I have to lose? So I emailed him, and I was like, hey man, you spoke at Columbus, I'm trying to get into, you know, I'm still in Miami. I'm trying to kickstart this acting career. And he just invited me down to the set of Bloodline while they were filming like that. Like without even, he was like, hey, what are you doing today? You want to come down here? And we just had a conversation in his trailer, and kind of just like chopped it up about the industry and stuff. And dude, that was so inspiring. That's a little bit different from being inspired from watching, film and TV, but I had already been watching him, is the thing. And I was like, there is a place for us, you know, Latino Americanos, specifically Cuban Americans in this industry. And I mean, you watch a lot of stuff that Enrique does, and it's not necessarily a Cuban character. You know what I mean? Which is what I always wanted to break the mold of, because I didn't want to be stuck being, you know, Scarface or whatever else box you want to put us in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For me, that was huge, man. For me, that was huge. I sent him an email recently. I was going to invite him to the walls and all that. And there's a bunch of us out here, bro. Danny Pino.
A lot of people from Miami. How have you found? Yeah. We're breaking. How have you found that trajectory in terms of you? Like you said, you didn't want to just be the Cuban kid from Miami. type of thing. How have you found that reflection, or I guess the way that the industry has spoken to you in that sense? Have you found that it's been easy to not do that? Has it been a little more difficult?
So at first, I had this fight with police roles and Latino roles. And in Miami, a lot of the Latino roles were just the Cuban guy. You watch me in Critical Thinking, I'm the Cuban hustler playing chess. But there's taste in it, and the film like deserves it, and it's not just a Cuban character to have a Cuban character. So I was thrilled to get that role. And then what I'm seeing now, what has changed it up for me now is we got together with my team, and we like really got specific to my look and to what we're trying to sell as an actor, as a brand, as a business. And so I did a new series of headshots with Jackson Davis, who's phenomenal. And we really honed into this look that has brought me these really like ambiguous auditions. It's just like honed into the detective, police officer, DEA lawyer thing, but they're not necessarily Latino roles. So I just finished Matlock, and my character's name is Hayden Glenroy. Imagínate tú.
Hayden Glenroy. Hayden
Glenroy. Yeah, which is great, because that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is just be able to do that. And this I think this has been the first role that is legitimately outside of that box, because we got specific and we were like, this is what we want to do. I don't want to take these roles. I don't want to be thug number one. The bald beard guy, olvídate. Thug number one, cartel, you name it, man. Easy police officer, which for me at first I was like, man, not another cop role. But then I started to fall in love with the cop roles when I figured that these cop roles open doors to other bigger DEA, lawyer, detective type of things, procedural stuff. And I was like, well, look at Danny Pino. Why would I be saying no to cop roles? Like, this is what's going to open the door to stuff like that, Yes. But at first I was like, oh my God, cop one, cop two. I don't want to do cop one, cop two, but you can't do, officer whoever without doing cop one and cop two. And it took me a while to be like, okay, you have to.
Dude, it's crazy, because the longer we've talked before about this, but the longer that I'm in this, the more I feel like I have no idea about anything in the industry.
Zero.
and also sometimes I'm like, I kind of think, oh yeah, I kind of understand something, but that all those things always lead to something else. Like, you never know what's going to lead to anywhere. That's the crazy thing about this. George Michael, we were doing an episode, and this motherfucker just goes, yeah, I had one of my mixes played in Australia. Right? And it's because, how did you get that, George? How did that come about with your mix being played in Australia with that guy? Did you send him your mix, or did he hear it?
No, yeah. So there's this app. It's called TrackStack. So basically, it kind of cuts the middleman of you sending music to labels. Well, no, there's actual labels on there as well. It's basically like if Instagram and SoundCloud had a child, right? And you can basically send music to DJs directly or labels directly, and they basically send a reply to you of like if they like the song, or if they'll critique it, or if they'll be like, this isn't what we like, but keep sending music. So I just sent a bunch of music to a bunch of different DJs, and then one guy picked it up. His name's Jaden Thompson, and he's like a well-known DJ in the UK and in Europe. And he told me he accepted it, and I didn't see it because the app, you can't use it on your phone. It's on the computer. So long story short, he DM'd me and he's like, hey man, this song is really good. I'm going to use it soon. And then 2 days later, he's put up a video of him using in New Zealand.
That's incredible.
So I was like, it was weird.
That's incredible.
It's weird if you just, because, I think we all have this idea that we're just there, right? Where we were just there, but there's something that separates us from the people we see on TV, right? When really we're already there. I think we're already there. It's just finding the people that want to use something that resonates with them. So I think that what separates us from those people is not so much the talent or the technique. It's more so that I think it's taking the initiative. Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure I have plenty of songs on my laptop that I can send to people. It's just a matter of, have I done that, right? So,
man, to that point, there are people with less talent in general doing more just because they have the balls to do it, And there's a lot of people who just don't see failure and don't care to look stupid, you know what I mean? And they just go for it. And I've seen personally a few people recently that I've been sort of mentoring and helping go further in a very short amount of time, because there are no walls and there's nothing. It's just a pure want. And like, I don't care, you know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't. And the rest of us as like seasoned artists, we're like, well, it's not ready yet. I'm not going to release this yet, or I'm not ready to do this yet, or I'm going to wait to get my headshots because I need to lose more weight. Bro, forget all that. Just do it. Just put it out there. It's not for us to, it's for us to create. It's for everybody else to enjoy. You know what I mean? And if we don't create and put it out there, no one's going to enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that hesitation comes from, and I think it stems from maybe when we're younger and we present something that we're passionate about, and if we present it to our peers, whether that be our friends in school, and if that doesn't resonate with them, they kind of like, you know, trash you for it, or kind of like, haha, that wasn't good, or anything like that, right? Like, our life is very based off of performance. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I heard this quote recently that made me realize to just send out music or just send out musical ideas to people. This guy, he said, I think his name is Kenny Beats. He's like a Grammy nominated producer. And he's like, listen, like, if you make something and it's not good, people are not even going to remember it, which is a good thing. Right. And then said, but if it resonates with people, then it will start to circulate. So he's like, take that with a grain of salt and just make stuff and release it, because if people don't like it, they'll move on, and that's okay. You'll learn from that. It's not, but I think we just put this idea in our mind that if we put it out there, it's like, what are people going to say? Right.
Yes,
and it's more
bro.
so
and you worry that they're going to think about that forever. They're going to, oh, that one time that thing that he put out was garbage. They'll forget about it. It's crazy.
It is.
We get in our own way as creatives.
We suffer more in imagination than reality.
Yes, Seneca. Very good. I love that. That's beautiful.
It's the truth.
And I was recently thinking about, why do we seek either approval or that was dog shit? It's either this idea of like, nice job, or man, that fucking sucked. It's the middle ground, I think, is always, for me at least, I can only speak for myself, I never want to be good, period. You understand what I'm saying? Like, standard vanilla, just getting by. That's kind of my thing, that I'd either rather hear, dude, that sucked, or that was good, if I'm being completely honest, right? Like, yeah, that was fucking awesome, or that sucked. But what I've had to rewire my brain just recently, like what you're saying with taking off the blinders, what you were talking about, George Michael, why we're scared to share things. I go back to that Kobe story, because I wasn't really a big Kobe fan until after he retired, but he was talking with, I think it was with Patrick Bet-David, I don't remember, or with Jay Shetty. And he was saying how he always had to give 100% when he was playing, right? Like, one day his back was spasming and he was going to play Vince Carter. And if he didn't play, like, his back was jacked. If he didn't play, the narrative was going to be, oh, he's ducking Vince Carter. And he's like, what? No, I am not ducking him. And on top of that, there might be a kid out there who got to come to the game because his dad worked 3 jobs, right? His dad worked overtime, picked up a couple different jobs so that they could afford to go to the game. And that's the only time that they'll ever get to see Kobe play. How is he not going to give 100% when you have somebody like that going out there? Like, I've had to rewire my brain recently to not seek the approval of, for lack of a better term, these people who don't give a fuck about you, you know, because there's a lot of people who don't, you know, we're scared of what people are going to say who don't give a fuck about us. Yeah. You know, they don't care about us. So I cannot do it for that lane of people, because that burns out quickly. It has to be for something that's more rooted in actual foundation. I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but it's like,
yeah, go where you're celebrated, not just tolerated. It's kind of like that.
Celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Yeah, and also I always go back to, I don't need anybody's voice in my head other than my own. You know, there's this wonderful story that a mentor when I was in college said about an actor, a big time actor. He was acting with him on the show and he was a regular on it, and he kept telling him, hey, that was a good scene, and the big time actor was kind of like, okay, thanks, and would just walk away. Until one day my mentor went up to him and he's like, hey, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, I'm just trying to be honest, like, you did great. And the actor's like, I appreciate it. I really know that you mean well, but I don't need anybody's voice in my head other than my own, or else it's going to start to filter the way that I do things. And I think that type of mental toughness is, especially in art, is very necessary, because if you start to filter what you're doing based on if you're going to get that approval or denial, like I was talking about before, you're not being altruistic towards what the art itself is, right? If we're doing this for good reasons, then hopefully you're being altruistic. That's
tough. Also, coming from a director who doesn't. So when I was directing, I found that my style was very like, if you didn't hear from me, so Robbie had to pull me aside one day and he's like, yo, some of the actors are like wondering if they're doing all right because you're not saying anything. I'm like, oh no, I'm not saying anything. It's because they're doing their job. They're, you know what I mean? And I'm not the type of director, but this is where the funny thing is, that I'm not the type of director to be like, yes, that's it. Unless it was something amazing that we truly found something new. If you guys are killing it, I'm straight faced, and I'm just kind of, that's the way we're moving about business, But finding myself on the other side a little bit, I recently did a feature, an indie feature sort of, and right away the cast and the crew started giving me a lot of praise, and I wasn't sure how to like navigate that with the rest of the cast and crew. And then what I did find though was that I took it with a grain of salt, but it allowed me to be like extra confident and make choices that I wouldn't have made because they all thought I knew what I was doing. And so it was kind of like this fake it till I make it thing on this set, where like I just started doing things that I wouldn't have done before because they allowed me to, right? In this sort of like, I'm not going to say like, not that everything was like, oh, this is awesome, this is great, but it just became like this thing where I was free to act because I had a little bit of confidence, bro. It's like, I don't know if you guys, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter fan. I'm a big Harry Potter fan.
Harry Potter fan.
That was Henry LaFontaine. What was your guy's name again? LaFaroy.
Glenroy.
Welcome to the club, bro. That's a day of my life. That's a life in my day. That's a life in my day right there.
If I reference Harry Potter, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm listening to the books on audiobook right now, and I love the movies.
Beautiful. Where are you in the audiobooks?
Half-Blood Prince. I'm in the
Half-Blood. Oh, it's my favorite.
So
Half-Blood Prince is my favorite.
So I'm right behind. Almost creature just came in, and he was like, "Hello, master." Creature does what master wants. So yeah, go ahead.
Please tell me they don't narrate the audiobooks like that.
They do, dog.
Really?
And it's incredible. The guy that narrates. All right, we're going on another bunny trail. This is our podcast in a whole 1,000 bunny trails. The guy that narrates the books is incredible, like incredible, and he does different voices for everybody. But it is so on point. It is. I listen to it when I'm at the gym. It is unbelievable. This guy deserves. I don't even know what his name is. He deserves all the accolades in the world because he does different voices for Dobby, Creature, Harry, everybody, bro.
That's gotta be so much fun.
Oh my god,
he's unbelievable. Okay, so what were you going to reference from Harry Potter?
The potion, the Felix Felicius potion. Yeah. If I said that right. And it's all like he doesn't even take
potion. That's the good luck.
And Ron does when specifically when like they give it to Ron and Ron doesn't take it, and then Ron starts making all these choices as a keeper that he wouldn't have made, and that's kind of the same thing. We all kind of have that ability to do so, but sometimes a little bit of that spark, and then I wonder how this is going to affect me now if I direct again, because this came after I directed. And then Robbie telling me like, yo, they're wondering. I'm like, well, thinking my actor and my director brain, they don't talk to each other. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. I even when I'm self-taping. So I'm wondering, man, like how much of that other voice do you not need? You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's got like how much of it is healthy, and how much is extra noise. You know what I mean?
We've talked about what kind of coaching. Because we grew up playing sports. I was never great at sports, but I played it. George Michael was great at sports. He was an unbelievable soccer player. He went to college for soccer as well. What kind of coaching helps different people? you know? And I think that's kind of that's also a reason why I was drawn to acting, because it's very much a team sport. So when you have a good team, I think that the result is going to be better. Same thing with leaders. And I think that some people improve by that sense of encouragement, you know, and other people improve by just a subtle nod of the head. You know what I'm saying? Like they look at you and they're like, just like that, instead of it being, that's right on, you're right on it type of thing. Like we talk about best direction. What's, as an actor, what kind of, what's sort of good direction that you've received, and what's bad direction? Because then I'll go into my spiel for that also.
Man, I don't know. Okay, where I'm at now in my career, coming in as like, you know, co-star, guest star things that you show up the day of with zero rehearsal. Good direction for me, there really hasn't been any good direction. You show up and it's like they're fixing little technical things,
Right.
you know, and then, you know, they ask you to, they redirect a few ways they want to do it. But I don't think I've been blessed yet to have the type of role that requires, wow, that was loud. Did you hear that?
No.
Did you guys hear that? No?
No.
Great.
What was it?
Mute that. Just like a notification on my phone that kind of blasts
No, I
in my
didn't hear
eardrum here.
No, we didn't hear that.
What was I gonna say? I don't think I've had a role yet where it's like, okay, you know what? That's a lie. My first role, and I think I told you this, as it was John Leguizamo, Critical Thinking. I had rehearsed a million times, and it's the Cuban thing. So I'm coming in, and you know, I'm doing the thing, and camera's on me. So I come in, and I do the thing, and I'm very. And he's like, all right, one more time. Do it again. All right, one more time. Great. He's like, all right, we're gonna take a look, like a quick little thing. He just pulls me aside and he's like, bro, he's like, you know the script. Forget the lines. Throw it all away. Don't say whatever you want. You know the message. He's like, just come out here and just throw it out. Just throw it away. Got the take, and I was like, oh, okay, this is acting, not acting. Great. But that's been one of the biggest things that has stuck with me, was just, you know, throwing it away. But other than that, I don't think I've worked, you know, as a co-star, as a recurring co-star, anything that's like that I've gotten like a good piece of direction, because it's not about me. As a co-star, you come in and you just move the thing along, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they book you off of your self-tape, off of your audition, and you're expected to pretty much do that. So if you got the role, I guess you're good. And then, you know, on set, things may change. You may have to do a couple things, but, you know, that's more a question for you now that you're getting like some meaty stuff. How has been actually... How does it feel to be directed on a set? Because I can't really say I've been directed. You know what I mean?
That's funny, bro. So we have two directors that we're working for, and both of them have very different styles, but they both achieve the same thing, which is they give calmness and peace to the actor themselves. So one of the directors is an actress, and she's very... she has like the actor lexicon in her vocabulary. So when she's telling you stuff, she'll talk about intention. She'll talk about, you know, blah, 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 blah. And one of the things that she told me that I won't forget is she just came up to me and she was like, just trust your instincts. She's like, she came up to me for one take and she's like, so what did I want to tell you? Oh yeah, just trust your instincts. You're good. You know? And it was like, oh, all right. You know, because I don't want to say manufactured, but I knew that I wanted to do things physically to be able to tell the story. And I was doing them, but they probably looked mechanical. So that's why she was like, same thing with what he told you. She was just kind of like, just don't worry about it. You know, the more calm you are, the better it is. And then on the flip side, our other director, he gives peace, because he'll just come up to you and he'll just kind of be like, fucking great. And then that's it. That's all he says. And then he just leaves. He's like, performance, yeah, you guys are pros. And then he'll just walk away. And you're like, all right, right. You know? So They both employ very good peace, sort of. To me, I think that's the biggest thing you can do for an actor, is allow them a sense of calm. Because a film set, and I go back to Javier Bardem, that he always said, you know, an actor's greatest gift is quiet. And when you need to find something, he says, I need quiet rather than people telling me what to do. Like, maybe you should try this way. He's like, let me just go in peace and quiet, and I can find what I need to be, rather than it being like from a place of trying all this stuff. Let me just go inside, relax, and then do it. And a film set is anything but quiet. So what I've learned, I guess, from the direction that I've been given, or direction that I'm not given, is go back to just finding my breath I know it sounds ridiculous, but a lot of times people forget to breathe. One of the best pieces of direction I've ever gotten is just find your breath and just listen. Just listen. You know, you don't have to do anything else. Just listen. So that's really good. And I've told George this. We've talked about this ad nauseum on here, but when I was on Westworld, I got a great piece of direction, which was like, we did the scene a few times, and then the director told me, you know, he's not respecting you. Treat him like a little, like, you know what, bro? Like, really treat him like that. And I was like, okay, I got it. I understand what you want me to do, because I was just a cog moving the story along for the mains. So I needed to behave in such a way that the main could react off of me, because that's the direction of his story that he needed to go down, was to show that he's getting treated in such a way that he has to react to this, which eventually leads him down to the rest of the season. Right. So I think that for me, the good direction that I've been given has never been, it's a director understands where the story needs to go. And they understand that we have the main person here, and then we have all the other little colors that are going to influence the main person. How do I get that color to influence this person in that way so that we go down this path? Right. So instead of telling me, be angry, I need happy, I need sad, don't ever fucking tell me to be an emotion. That doesn't help me. You know, I think rather giving me examples of, you know,
like how to get there.
Yeah. You know, like this person is beneath you. Okay. I understand. Right. But if somebody says, I need you to be mad. All right. Well, does that mean you need me to be screaming? Do you need me to be seething? Like, do you need me to be quiet? What is that? I don't understand what being mad means in terms of where you want this story to go. Right. If somebody's like, let's try being more still, be a little more still. Okay. That gives me something active to do rather than it being an emotion, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I've been at with the direction thing.
How much of the direction now at this level of the game? Because like I said, you know, for the kind of roles that I'm still getting, you don't get really rehearsal. You get to your mark, you maybe run it once or twice, you shoot. It's not a real rehearsal, right? At your level, how much of the direction are you getting before you get on camera? Like how much actual, you know, rehearsal direction are you getting? Because I guess that's what I mean by like I haven't gotten direction yet, is that of course I've gotten good direction, right? But it doesn't feel like direction, because you show up, you have your stuff and you just do it. There's no real rehearsal, so I don't feel directed. And I guess if the director's quiet and they move on, then you did a good job.
Yes.
You kind of don't want to hear anything. Like if we're moving on and they got it, that's good. Yeah. That's direction almost. But what kind of rehearsal and direction are you seeing in like a meteor role with something like what you got now?
That's a good question. At the beginning, when we were first starting, we had more opportunities to do rehearsals. So when we first shot, when we were in Miami, we like ran all of our scenes. We talked about them because we had a lot more time. It was the beginning. Now that they're kind of up and rolling and they're in the movement of the show, and the show has a deadline because it's coming out at a certain point, so they got to do it. It's kind of what you were just talking about, that, and people already kind of know who their character is as well. So it's much just kind of like camera rehearsal, marking rehearsal. We're going to mark them, you know, then we'll sit and talk about where the camera is. All right, you guys go wait, we'll call you back. We'll do it a few times and then we take off. But as far as actual character direction, I think that since the actors kind of know where they're at and kind of what they've done already, it's just a little more, I don't want to say loose, but not as enfocado. You're not as focused on that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because at this point you're carrying this character through a season, you know. Yeah. And I guess you feel a little more prepared than walking in on the day of.
It's the same directors. That's the other thing, is that since it's the same directors, they have already seen it. So I think if there was
no guest directors,
people, no.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. So it's the same ones, which I think makes it easier.
I said this pretty cool in segment because what I'm getting from it is that, because I was going to bring that up, Gabe, about how like there is a lack of like game time emulation, right? Like there's the rehearsal you guys are doing, like you said, it's one-on-one with your wives, or maybe like a read through when you guys sit down, like the things I've seen, you know, on social media. But it seems like what I'm getting at is basically that as actors, do you feel sometimes you guys can get lost in the words? So then like it helps to have that interaction with the other cast members to see like I'm not just these words on a piece of paper. Like I have to actually embody the emotions. Like he said, like don't just tell me to get mad. Tell me what's gonna get me there. Like what do I have to embody to then, or not what I have to embody. What do I have to put on to then embody that emotion? Like do you guys think that's why it's so tough sometimes to easily like decipher in the beginning, like what do I embody?
I have you gave. If you have an answer, you can go for it because I know where I'm gonna go at it.
I don't know if I have a clear answer to that because again, my process is so. The thing is also coming from a theater background. I guess maybe I want that rehearsal and I want more of that character exploration because you get to live even in the show, right? Like, dude, the way you film TV, and theater are so different. Like, you just finished scarfing down a pizza on your lunch, and then they're like, "All right, we're gonna shoot the scene where you cry. It's at the end of the film, but we haven't worked on the beginning yet." In theater, you live that whole thing, and so aside from the rehearsal that you constantly get, the thing itself is a rehearsal because your character, the show, the day of the show, your character's living chronologically through this storyline that when you get to the pinnacle, I know where I'm going, I know how to get there, and so I guess maybe it's my theater background that's like wanting to figure out how to do that. So I don't know if I have an answer. Maybe that's maybe you got something for me, Isaac. And now that you're, have this time where you're like, you have a character to pull through a season as opposed to showing up and just getting it done.
I was going to say something very similar in the sense that we don't get a lot of rehearsal time on film. Like film, it's very seldom that you get, and I'm talking about TV. I've done a lot more TV than I've done film, but you don't really get that much time to rehearse to be able to kind of find that. Whereas that's why they say theater is the actor's medium, because you get to experience it multiple times, the same character in that same scenario all the way through the run of a show. So the end is going to be, even if it's minutely different for an actor, even if the audience doesn't pick up on it, you may hear a word that you've read 100 times and be like, oh, that's what that means to me. Mm-hmm. That's what that means to my character. Now I understand why I get pissed at this moment, because that reminds me of when my sister drowned when I was 7, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, you get more on that sense when it comes to theater. And I agree with the theater background. I kind of crave rehearsal a lot. And the scene study class that I take out here, it's very sort of theater based. We only do scenes from plays, and you meet with your partner and you kind of self-direct yourselves, but you talk about it, right? It's like that table work. I love table work. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sitting down. I love hearing what the other person thinks, where they're like, oh, well, maybe you're not really a dick because blah, blah, blah. And I love hearing that because I think it's the team thing for me. Like, I love sports because of the story around sports and team, not necessarily because of the sport itself. So, I don't know, man. Getting lost in the words sometimes it's interesting, and it's interesting having enough of a voice now in this that I have, which I'm very grateful for, to be able to go up to the writer and be like, hey, why, is there any sort of change that we can make here? What do you think? Or can you give me a little clarification? Is this coming across the right way? Because you don't get that. You don't get that usually on film and TV. But so I guess to answer your question, getting lost in the words and sort of the emotion, I don't know, dude. It's an editor's medium. It's a director and editor's medium when it comes to film and TV.
Yeah.
Because somebody told me, don't worry, they'll find it in the edit. Because I wasn't feeling great about one day when I went into film, and I was like, I don't know if that's real. And they're like, they'll find it in the edit. Don't worry. So it's a little different. You don't have that time for that process because they have it on the back end. Right. So you just give them everything that you can possibly give them, and they can kind of form and make the narrative that they want to make, rather than you doing it from beginning to end, like Gabe is saying. And
sometimes a lot of that is just like trusting in your technique. And this is for theater as well. There are some shows that there's some shows that I felt so disconnected from that show, that particular day, but just sticking to the technique and to sticking to what works, like the same way that, in TV and film they'll find it in the edit because you still did a good fucking job. You did,
Right.
you just didn't feel it, right? I've had shows where I come out, I'm like, this was garbage, and the audience was just like more responsive than ever. You know what I mean? And it was and sticking to technique and just doing what I knew I had to do to get it done was the only thing that got me through the show. You know, it's just, I think it's the same thing for TV and film. It's just like, just get it done.
Get on base. We talk about that a lot too. McConaughey has something that he says, right? He goes, some days you got 15 different ways of doing it. Other days you're just trying to prevent from telling a lie, right? But we forget that Hall of Famers were batting 300, which means you just got to get on base 3 out of 10 times.
Yes, sir.
So you get into the Hall of Fame for batting 300, just 3 out of 10. You know, if you're lucky enough to get 10 takes or, 10 scenes and 3 of them are pretty good and, 7 of them are all right, bro, you're in the Hall of Fame. You're hitting for average. Sometimes we want to
Yes,
hit
sir.
a home run, but we forget getting a bunt will get you on base. Walking on balls, that'll get you on base. So we forget about the different ways to get there because we get kind of connecting back to what we were saying about the whole approval and, that voice. We want even our internal voice, even if it's our own voice, to feel like fucking nailed that shit. I told the story and I did it to the best of my ability that I knew I could do. There's some days when you give 100% of what you got, but your tank's at 70, so you're giving 100% of 70 and you do what you got to do. And just like that dog feels me. The dog feels what I'm saying. But you know what I mean, bro? That's the beautiful thing about art. Also, and specifically performing art. I think that when you give that, it's always different. It's never going to be the same. It'll never be the same. Actually, George, when you are DJing, have you ever had to DJ on a day when you're just not feeling it? How do you think that affects you? When do you see that you get the most audience response from when you're DJing? And then we'll wrap this up because we're like an hour and 20.
So that was kind of like 2 questions in one. Say it again.
Yeah. So how do you feel like you perform when or has there been a day when you're not feeling 100 that you've had to go? And what are the times that you feel like the audience responds to you, or how do they respond differently? Like when you maybe think you did a shit job, but they loved it, and vice versa type of thing.
I don't know if I can recall. I'm trying to think of a time I didn't want to do that. I don't know. I just come from a place that is, just to reel it back to like square one from in before I went to Full Sail for this. I didn't think, or I couldn't formulate in my mind what my passion, how my passion could be a career, even though I've seen people on TV, DJ and make music. But then when I came to that realization, kind of like what I told you, like that funny joke I have of like, I felt the same way Harry Potter felt when he got to Hogwarts, like, wow, there's a place for me, right? And I can make something of this. I started to feel like I was playing with house money. So I think every time I go DJ, I feel like I'm playing with house money. I feel like, wow, people actually want to pay to like buy drink, like pay, listen to music, and then buy drinks or just parlay with people. So I've kind of always had that mindset, whether I've had to lie to myself or really that's kind of just the thought process I've adopted, that this is a privilege and a blessing to just press play on certain songs and converge them in certain ways that not everybody can do. So that's, I mean, either I go in with that mindset, or if there is a time that I don't want to DJ, then I start bringing that mindset up, right? And then what was the second part again?
I don't remember, but that was a good answer.
Okay.
It was like, how do you feel when you don't have 100% and you DJ, and when audiences respond to you best or worse?
Okay, I would say respond best when you're prepared. When you're prepared with music you want to play, but then you're prepared with music that you didn't think you were gonna play. Like there's been times I've DJ'd at this place in Brickell, and Hugh came up to him and he's like, "Oh, you've been practicing, I can tell." And I was like, okay, now it makes sense. Like what I did the 2-3 weeks leading up to this gig, and compared to times in the past, maybe I'm busy with other things, or I just feel like, oh, I got it, you know. And just to think of that too, I think it's just to go in with the mindset of like, you know what you're doing, but prepare to know what you're doing. So it's kind of like going with that novice mindset of like, I need to prepare. Let me practice some techniques, things like that. But I've never been someone to be like, I'm going to play these 5 songs in a row. But I think preparation of more technique rather than game plan is might help me flourish performance-wise DJing.
That makes sense. And I just thought of, you prepare, or failing to prepare is preparing to fail type of thing, the John Wooden. And I wanted to ask you, Gabe, because I think this is also important. Then we'll ask our last 2 questions. In your observation, what are things that make a successful actor?
Wow, successful actor. That's a conversation, I had to have with my parents often.
Me too. I love them. I know my parents are probably listening to this on the TV. I love you. I love you guys.
Me too, man. I love my parents, and I wouldn't be out here without them and their continued support. But success for me, I can only talk about what I think would be success for me as an actor. Mm-hmm. And I had to have this conversation with my dad when I was moving out here, because he was like, you know how hard it is to be the next Brad Pitt? Do you know how hard it is to be, the next George Clooney? And I was like, but I don't want to be Brad Pitt or George Clooney. I want to do good work that I'm super proud of, that I know makes people feel the same way I feel when I watch those things that make me feel like that. That to me is successful. Then the rest will come, the rest will come. The money will come, the roles will come. There are so many really good fucking actors that are series regulars on a bunch of shows that you've never even heard of, and who are making a great deal of money, enough to take care of their family, and they're doing good work. That to me is success. I don't need to be on every billboard on Hollywood. If it happens, great. But I just want to do good work, and I want to be part of stories that make people feel the same way that I feel when I watch these stories, man. There are times where I get up from my couch and I'm like just yelling at the TV, that I'm like, yes, bro, that is what I want to do right now. And I'm writing down scenes, and I'm writing down to go back to this film at timestamp. Like, dude, the emotion that I get, the feeling watching that to me is success. That guy did it. Whoever that guy that made me feel like that, that's a successful actor. You know what I mean? It's not about the money. It's not about anything. If you're acting, the success is in the acting. It's not what comes along with it. The money and the fame and all that'd be great. Well, sure, if that comes. But if you're in it for that, chances are you're in the wrong career.
That's the flame that burns fast and burns out. That's the thing, is the process is the destination, right? That's what everybody always says, is like the process of making something usually is better than watching it at the end while you're making it. And then you watch it afterward. I don't know about you, but like if I watch myself, I'm like, all right, all right, it's done. That's cool. It's there. Yeah. It looks cool. It looks dope. Whatever. I'm happy that I did it.
It's over.
But yeah, it's done. I already did it. It's done. Yeah. It's the doing it that made it fun, bro. Yeah. I mean, I 100% am right there with you. And I think in all truth and honesty, I respect, we're going to wrap it up right now, but again, to kind of give you flowers, I respect your hustle. You constantly have a light passion. And I mean that in the sense of like, it's not heavy, it's light. No, I mean like you literally embody light, and you're so enigmatic about what you love to do that people can't help but be attracted to that, bro. So don't ever lose that childhood, that childhood light intensity that you have, because it is so infectious. And people only love it, bro. It's the truth. I've never had anybody that's ever met you has only ever said good things about you. And that's because you're strong too, bro. You'll stand up for what you do. You're very laser focused on what you're doing, but you also live life, dog. That's the other thing.
I was about to say that.
It's important.
You have to, man. You have to. I was just thinking about this yesterday, is like the living life aspect of it. And I think the light bulb clicked for me during COVID when the world was like silent and everything was like, there was no hope. We didn't know what was going on. And Diane was out of work, and, there was no date to come back, and we weren't making any money. And then I was just like, you know what, babe, this is kind of a vacation. Like life is going to go on, right? And so if you look at like hindsight's 2020, right? Let's say you have to believe, right, that our career, we are in the process of our successful career, right? And then you're going to need these breaks in between. So go on the vacation, right? So because if somebody told you, hey, Isaac, you're going to have this lucrative career for years, and then you're going to have these little pockets where you should take vacations. You're going to take those vacations and not worry about it. That's where living the life is. But we're not guaranteed that, but you have to view your career as already a successful journey. So when you have these dull moments, you're like, well, I don't got anything to do. We're going to Scotland. I'm going to Scotland on Monday with Diane. You know what I mean? Literally, we're going on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to Scotland. And it's like, you know, because then when else am I going to do this? You know what I mean? And that's part of the journey. I have to look at this as like, I did my job. The next one is coming. The process is coming. But in between, if I'm sitting around worried and you know, I have to be passionate, but you have to live your life, because if not, you burn out, man. You need to have the work-life balance for an actor, which is stepping outside of that mental struggle of like constantly, when is the next role? When is my next audition? You know, when is my next paycheck? And let it go, man, because you have to view it as that, bro. I see at the end of the journey, I know that the journey is going to be fine. And in between, these are my vacation times, you know?
There was a few things that popped up when you were talking about that. I know you and I talked about this, and George, you and I as well. This year has really been about knowing, right? So knowing that you're on the path rather than trusting. So that's kind of echoing what you're saying. And I love the saying, you only have to make your 8-year-old self proud and your 80-year-old self proud. So if you're looking at your life from the 80-year-old perspective back on now, I don't think your 80-year-old self is going to be like, damn, I'm so I'm remiss that I went on that vacation to Scotland. That's a regret of mine, that I regret going to Scotland.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your 80-year-old self is going to look back and think that. And then to amend what I was saying about you being passionate, something that I heard Goggins say yesterday was, he was like, all these words get thrown around, passion. But it's sometimes you just got to wake up and fucking do it. It's about doing, and you do. That's the thing. And also you need to do these little pockets of vacation. Life is a lot about doing. Passion definitely helps, but if you're not doing anything with your passion, you're passionate while you're sitting on your couch, and that just makes for somebody that's really hype on the couch. Okay, that's fine. But you got to do what you do. So I commend you on that. All right, let's wrap this up so we don't take up anybody else's time. We ask 2 questions at the end. I'll ask mine and George will ask his.
Sweet.
My question, I've always had the idea of a steel tissue in my mind, because a tissue can wipe away a tear and it can wipe away a drop of blood. So my question has to do with resiliency and vulnerability. It doesn't have to be deep. It can be very surface level if you want. But just in your life, what are some moments that have made you the most resilient and the most vulnerable? Because I think being an artist, specifically an actor, you kind of have to have both of those in your life. So just talk about moments that have made you resilient and vulnerable.
Man, my first ever professional theater audition, which was for the Miracle Playhouse. I walked in with a monologue, and the monologue was all right. But then the director conducting the audition saw that I had some sheet music in my folder and was like, "Oh, you sing too?" And I was like, and they're like, yeah, put it up. Let's do the song. Brother. I remember leaving that audition, and I called my best friend and I was like, I need to leave this town and never come back. Like, I fell flat on my ass. I told them that it wasn't a good idea to do it, but they were like, no, for sure you can do this. If you have the sheet music, you've done it before. I'm like, yeah. It was so bad that they couldn't hide it, you know? I thought I was done, and I had to have a pep talk with myself. And I kind of just picked myself up, and I was like, bro, if I can survive that humiliation, I'm going to be fine. We not like that was for me the lowest of the low. You know what I mean? And I think once I picked myself up from that, and then I was like, respectfully, I don't give a fuck. We call it rigaff. Respectfully, I don't give a fuck. I'm moving on. You know, it took me a second to get there, but man, it was bad, bro. It was bad.
So that would classify under vulnerable and resilient. I would
both. I was at the most vulnerable in my life at that moment, for sure.
And you had to bounce back, but that's That's the motto of the story is bouncing back.
That was actually where I chose to either stop doing this or not. I remember leaving that and I was like, am I going to do this? Can I do this? Like, is this within me? I got to figure this out. I got to stop wasting time. Like, that audition was the make or break for me.
I feel
that was the talk to myself where I was like, are we going to do this? And is this what it's going to be like? And if so, can we do this? Can I do this every night, fail this way, like feel this way about it and keep moving forward?
We've all been there. We've all been there.
It was so bad.
Go ahead, GM. Take us home, brother.
Hey, I would say off of that, people do things that will break you, and then you have to make yourself build yourself back together in a sense. So there you go. Yeah. So my ending part of this is basically it's a fill in the blank, and it's pretty simple. It can be as profound as you want it to be based off this conversation or just how you're feeling in this time and place in your life. So it's my name is blank and I am blank.
All right. Wow, the pressure's on. It's like when you ask somebody what their favorite movie is, and suddenly you have no favorite movies. You've never seen a movie in your life.
A movie in your life.
Yeah, you know. I got something.
It can be very vanilla, or it can be like whatever it is you feel in the moment.
Yeah.
No rules.
Okay. I think you know what? I think this is really truly speaks to an essence of who I am. So, my name is Gabriel Bonilla, and I am a connoisseur of life. Very simple.
That was fresh.
That's a good way to describe it. That was fresh, bro. Thank you. That was really great. Honestly, thank you so much for coming on, spending an hour and a half of your life with us. Seriously, bro. This is your time. I've been
meaning to do this for a minute, man.
I know.
I've been wanting to get on here with you guys for a while, man. So I thank you for. I mean, I'm nobody to be talking about anything on these things, so I feel very grateful that you guys, give me a little slice of cake here to eat with you, bro. I appreciate the love and bro, the flowers back to you, bro, because you know that I got a very special place in my heart. And George, bro, when you're in Miami, right?
Yeah, in Broward County.
Yeah, so I'm in Miami maybe like 40% of the year, man. Maybe we'll link up. We'll be back down in November. Maybe grab some coffee in the real life.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm down.
I'll be there in December, so if everybody's there in Diciembre, we'll all get together. But bro, this is your slice. You can promote whatever you want right now. You have that camera, and that camera to talk to the millions of people. So whatever, tell the people what you want them to know.
I got something. I'll leave you guys off on a funny thing. So there's this like foundation that Jessica Alba does. That's like Baby of the Year. Have you guys heard of this Baby of the Year situation?
No.
All right.
I love Jessica Alba though.
So I think it's Jessica Alba. I hope I'm saying it right, but it's like Baby of the Year, and it's this foundation thing. You submit these like beautiful babies. Jason Canela's daughter, Jovi, who is the cutest thing ever. She's gorgeous, man. She's so smart and funny. They made a profile for her, and they're like doing this thing. Somehow so basically you vote, and every vote is like $1 or whatever, and it goes to this charity. And at the end, I think like the winner wins like $25,000 aside from all the charity money that goes to the charity. My cousin got wind of this situation and has made me a profile. And I am now running for Baby of the Year. And somehow I am in 5th place in my group out of like 50 people, of 50 real babies. All right. And I think this is rolling here. And I think people are actually donating for me to be Baby of the Year. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to show you this profile. Which is just absolutely ridiculous. Here we go. Baby of the Year. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Baby of the Year. And let's see where I am ranked right now. So if anybody wants to donate to have me be Baby of the Year, let me see. Where am I? Where to say my votes? I am currently currently 6th place in my group. How?
That's funny.
I don't know, but Baby of the Year, I'm probably the only man-child on this thing. If you want to vote for me, go ahead. It's a joke, but I think there's actual charity money going in there, and It's what I got for you.
We're gonna put down the link in the bio for this.
All right then.
in the description for this.
Well, it might
this
be done.
episode.
When is it over? When is the voting over?
No, so apparently if I come in within top 20 before the 26th, I move on to the next stage, and I'm currently number 6 in my group.
Okay. All right. So
I was number 48 this morning, and I've somehow, I don't know who's voting for me. I don't know where these votes are coming from, but now I went from 48 to 6.
Bro, you might have some cougars out there that want you as like a sugar baby, dog. That's maybe what it is. All of South Florida. That's what
The profile is ridiculous too. It's like Gabriel Bonilla. I didn't make this profile. Gabriel should win Baby of the Year because he looks like a giant baby. He's always smiling and very good at giving directions. There you go.
My
Vote for
God.
me.
That you heard it here, people. Vote for Baby of the Year. Oh my God. And in case you ever forget, this is how we always close it off. In case you ever forget.
This is the Cafe con Podcast.
Oh yeah. Cheers, everybody. Oh my God.
That was good.
This is the Cafe con Podcast.